Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Erica, and today's video is episode 15 of Throwback Thursday. Now, of course, I got this idea from my dear friend Jan Van. I will link her channel in my description box. She has been doing Throwback Thursday videos for a lot longer than I have, and they're amazing, and she chooses such incredible palettes to create her looks with. So if you have not yet checked out her channel, her Throwback Thursday videos, the rest of her videos, go do it because you're going to love her. And then of course I have to give a big heartfelt shout out to my dear friend and subscriber Dawn, who is my biggest TBT cheerleader. So for this episode I'm pulling in the Wander Beauty, and this is the Trailblazer palette, and my dear friend Charlie, her channel name is Peanut Butter Beauty. I'll link her channel in my description box as well. She gifted this to me. She sent this to me, and I'm super excited to play with this color story. I'm gonna try not to glare or have these glare too much, but my lighting is just a little tricky for me to figure out sometimes. Now, I've never used an eyeshadow palette from this brand before, but I used to have a couple of single shimmers from Wander Beauty that I got like in an Ipsy, and they were gorgeous. It's just I was inundated with those little singles, so I gave several of those to my daughter. And one that I remember in particular was a beautiful light pink shimmer shade, and it was really nice. So I'm really excited to dive into this palette and play with it today, because I had great experiences with the singles I had from Wander Beauty. And I think this color story is absolutely divine. I love the like olivey tones in here. We've got like some browns, pink, really pretty. So I think this look will turn out really nicely. So I think what I'm gonna do in today's look is start off by putting Noreen in my transition area. And then I think I'm gonna put a little bit of Mandy in my crease, and then Elizabeth in my outer V. And then I think on the lid, I don't know, I'm trying to decide. I think I'm gonna put this shade here called Lindsay E. And then, I don't know, we'll see. But definitely these three mattes, and then this shade, of course. I might even use that matte too to blend some things out with. We shall see. But starting off with Noreen, putting that in my transition area. And I'm not too sure who these names are referring to, and I feel very ignorant and kind of ridiculous that I don't know that information. But if you guys know, let me know about that in the comment section. I should know that, but I don't know it. Okay, so let's go in with a Refer 15, and let's lay this puppy down here. I do have both brows done, of course, and my eyelid is primed in the P. Louise eyeshadow base in Rumor 01. As it always is. I think I have maybe one more look with the P. Louise eyeshadow base, and then it's going to be all done. I keep thinking that every time I sit down to do my makeup. I'm like, this is going to be the last look I can do with this, and then I'm able to get more product out. So yes, I love it. It's such a great primer. I probably will pick that up again. Steph sent that tube to me, and I've had it for well over a year. Probably 2 years, maybe even longer than that, and it still works really well. It's a great primer. Love it. And I know I've already talked about it before, so because you guys are like, we know you love it. Okay, Erica, move on. Today though is my daughter's 25th birthday. This will be coming up, of course, on Thursday. I'm filming this on Tuesday, so she's 25 today. My baby, my first baby is 25. That just does not seem possible, I vividly remember her being a brand newborn baby. I mean, I vividly remember giving birth to her. And my birth experience with her was, holy cow. My son was easy peasy. Bitsy's meowing again. Hold on a second. She's just not wanting to be by herself when I'm filming and Daddy's sleeping. So she's like, what do I do with myself? So hopefully she'll go lay down. So I went into labor with Sydney at 10:30 in the morning on May 20th. And I was passing a kidney stone at the same time. So that was horrible. Absolutely horrible. And actually they didn't really even know I was passing a kidney stone until I got to the hospital, and they had me hooked up to the monitors, and I was just in excruciating pain, but I wasn't having a contraction really. So they're like, what? And then Sydney's heart rate started to kind of go a little wonky. And I'd been having like false labor stuff going on, like Braxton Hicks, and, thinking I was going into labor. Actually, I did start going into labor because I had a bladder infection that had turned into a kidney infection, and it started me into labor, I think on like the 13th of May. And they kind of figured that out, of course, and they flooded me with antibiotics, and then my contraction stopped. So anyway, finally on the 20th, when I went to the hospital and was having excruciating pain and all this stuff, my doctor came in and she's like, I think you're passing a kidney stone, because I'd been having all these weird bladder kidney issues. And she said, we're done messing around. You're having this baby today. And I'm like, okay. So, they admitted me and everything. And I had her down in Southern Oregon at this really nice hospital. Beautiful room, like really pretty room that I was in. It had its own bathroom with this big tub, and I spent a lot of her labor in the tub. And at first it just didn't seem that crazy. I'd been watching a ton of those baby story shows on TLC that was really popular at that time, 1999. And you see these women that are like writhing around screaming, and I'm thinking, what the hell are they screaming for? This isn't that big a deal. Like, those ladies are wimps. Yeah, well, that lasted until, like I said, I started in about 10:30, and they came in, my doctor came in at like, I don't know, sometime in the afternoon, and broke my water. And then whammo, it was just hell. It was hell. So now I'm going to go into Mandy and put that in my my crease. So like, I remember by like 10:30 that night, I was just a wreck. And I had taken like Lamaze classes, the birthing classes, and the woman that had taught my Lamaze class was like, do not have any kind of epidural or anything. They can give you like pain medication to kind of take the edge off, but do not have an epidural, because it's not good for the baby. So I was like, okay, I won't do that at all. But I'm telling you, it was so bad. I remember I was on my hands and knees in the bathtub with my ex, like hosing my back off with the like shower nozzle thingy. My mom was in there with us, and just trying so hard to like not cave in and get an epidural, which, I mean, I don't have any problem with natural childbirth, epidural. I mean, whatever makes it more comfortable for someone that's having a baby, that's what you do. I've never been someone that's like super judgmental about that. I just think whatever you need to do it. So anyway, at about, what time was it? Midnight? I was just a wreck. I was sobbing. I was in so much pain. I was throwing up. I just was like, this is awful. And my doctor, who was just a wonderful woman, she finally just said, listen, I know that you don't want to have an epidural because the Lamaze coach freaked you out. But she said, you are going to be pushing, I have a feeling, for at least 2 hours, if not longer. And you are so exhausted and have been going through so much since you got here. I think it's best for you to have an epidural. And she's like, and if you really don't want it, I can't force you, but I think it makes the most sense. So I went ahead and had the epidural. And it, worked okay, because I'd had passed that kidney stone. The left side of my like flank wasn't getting numb, because the kidney stone was in my left kidney. So I don't know if that's what the doctor said. She thought that's why I wasn't getting numb over there, but I don't know. So I could still feel my contractions on my left side, but it was much better, much better. And so I kind of slept a little bit and tried to relax as much as I could. And then at about a little before 6 a.m., I started to push. And she was born right at 8 a.m. and she was 8 pounds even. And it was wonderful, although, well, I mean, it was wonderful, of course, to have her. I mean, it was amazing. But right when she was first born, there was some concerns because she had a really low APGAR score. So that was kind of scary. But then, she kind of came out of that and she was fine. So, yeah, I like that. I think it's really pretty. I do want to go around, though, with this shade here called Jen and put that around the outer edge because it's kind of harsh. I was terrified. I was 24 years old when I had her, and I was absolutely terrified because, I babysat, but, mostly toddlers. I wasn't babysitting newborn babies ever. She was the first real newborn I'd ever really been around. And I don't know, I was just kind of a nervous wreck. And I do think she picked up on that. You know, she was kind of a fussier baby than Braden. Braden was the easiest baby. Like, I was like for a while I thought, is there something wrong with him? Because he just wasn't ever fussy or anything. And Sydney was, you know, just a different baby. She was a little bit more high maintenance, but also just this precious, wonderful, magical light in my life. You know, I never really knew, well, obviously I've never known love like that before until I had her. Just that all-consuming, all-encompassing, almost like an ache type of love for her. And it was just, you know, opened my eyes up to this whole new realm of life and love, and it was just amazing, really was. And you know, she was a wonderful baby. Just, you know, just not as easy for me as Braden was, just because I had no experience with babies. And, you know, she started getting ear infections when she was like 5 months old. She had 24 ear infections from the time she was 5 months old until she was like 22 months old. I mean, it was just, poor thing. She had to have tubes put in her ears, and I've already talked about all that in another video, but you know, just that was hard for her. Sleeping was difficult for her because her ear hurt all the freaking time. You know, both of her ears. It was horrible. So there were many nights where I would sit up in a chair and rock her with her laying against my chest so that the pressure in her ears wasn't just, you know, so awful that she couldn't sleep. And those nights, even though I was absolutely exhausted, I just loved that time with her because it was just her and I in the quiet of the night in the house. And I would just, okay, don't cry. I would just like study everything about her hands and her feet and her head, and smell her. And, you know, it was wonderful. So even though it was hard for her and hard for me too, that she had all these horrible ear infections, that is one of the most precious times I ever had with her. Was those nights where she couldn't sleep unless she was sleeping against my chest, and it was just her and I. Okay, stop this. I can't do this. I think those all blended together pretty well. I have this kind of wonky thing right here though, but I don't know that it's going to get any better than that. And I don't think it's the eyeshadow's fault. I think it's just application. So now I'm going to go into Elizabeth and put that right there towards the outer V area. She was a funny toddler. She would like wake up in the morning and she would have a plan for her entire day. But I was not privy to that plan, right? So if I deviated from her plan in her day, oh boy, she let me know. She was not gonna just do whatever I thought we should do that day. Gah. She was so funny, so stubborn, and so like obstinate, you know, just very strong-willed. And, you know, it was not easy. There were days when I would call my mom in tears, like, this is so hard. Because I had moved to Wyoming with her dad, and it was just him and I and Sydney. And he was out having a grand old time. I didn't find out about that till later. But I was, you know, wasn't working. I was home with her all the time, which was wonderful. That's what I wanted. I mean, that's the whole reason why we moved from Oregon to Wyoming, was so that, you know, I could be home with her and he could have the career, because I had basically worked, like 3 jobs to help put him through school so that he became a firefighter paramedic. And so, yeah, I mean, that's what I wanted. But, it, you know, there were days when I was ready to have a little break. But, you know, she was very strong-willed. She's always been very strong-willed. And the thing is that as she's become an adult, like through her like middle school into high school, college and whatnot, she's just always done what she felt was best. And luckily, all of those choices were great. You know, she had friends that were acting like complete goombas in high school, and she was not gonna fall for that crap, you know. So that strong-willedness really, you know, really was wonderful. You know, it was hard when she was younger, but as she got older, it was wonderful. Where's the, yeah, this brush. I'm gonna go back in with this brush and just kind of blend that edge out a little bit. So that was great, you know. I will never forget, she was a sophomore in high school, I want to say. So she was 15, maybe a freshman, 14 or 15, I don't know. And the school year had just started. And when the school year starts, that's when football season starts. So she and two friends were going to go to a football game. And like, you know, the high school football game. And she texted me, you know, she'd always let me know where she was going to be and stuff, but she texted me and she said, I need you to call me and tell me that we've had an emergency and that I need to come home and I want you to come pick me up from this friend's house of hers. And I'm like, are you okay? And she's like, no, I just need you to come get me. So she said, please just call and say there's something going on and you need to come get me. So I did that. I called her and I said, hi, you know, we're having a situation here. I need to come pick you up. And she's like, okay, Mom, I'll meet you out front. So I go pick her up and that looks great. I love that. That all actually worked together really well. I don't see that edge anymore. So that's cool. Maybe right there, but leave it alone, Erica. So now I'm going to go into, I want to use Lindsay E. And then I think, I don't know, because I think that should go in my inner corner. Actually, let's back up. I think what I'm going to do is put Maddie here and then Lindsay E towards the front of my lid. I think that'll look really pretty. So when I got to the house and picked her up, she was waiting for me out front with her bag, and her friend that she was staying at her house was out there with her, and the friend was acting really nervous. She's like, oh, hi, Erica. Yeah, is everything okay? I don't know. Just, she seemed like she was acting kind of strange. And I'm like, yeah, it's just, you know, I can't even remember now what I said. I said, it's just, Sydney needs to come home. I said, I'm sorry to, you know, break up your guys' good time. I know you're going to the game, but, you know, I'm going to take Sydney home with me. And she's like, okay, well, Sydney, call me later and let me know if everything's okay. And as soon as Sydney got in the car and the door shut, she started crying. And I said, what's going on? I said, what happened? Like, you look okay. Like, what's happening, honey? And she just said, they have alcohol and I don't want to drink. And I'm like, oh, good. That's great. I'm glad that you've made this decision. So she basically, what had happened is they had, you know, gone over to her friend's house after school, Sydney, and then obviously the girl's house that they were staying at. And then another girl who I didn't know really. I mean, I knew who she was, but I had never been around her at all. Like, she'd never been to my house. The friend that Sydney was staying at, I knew her pretty well. I knew her parents really well too. Anyway, so Sydney said, yeah, this other girl who'd come had pulled out a bottle of Listerine that was actually full of vodka, and they were going to drink. And Sydney's like, I don't want to drink. No way. And they were also going to be picked up by these boys that had graduated already from high school that were like 18, 19 years old. And they were going to take the girls to the game. And Sydney knew if I found out about that, not okay. And Sydney just was scared because she was afraid she was going to get in trouble. She didn't want to be in that situation. And so she made the right choice. And I was just so proud of her. I was like, yes, this is amazing. I think what I'll do is clean this brush off just a little bit on my color switch. Just get that shade off there. That's a really pretty shade. I love that. It's gorgeous. And now I'm going to go into Lindsay. Oops, gosh. Whoops, that almost, well, that gave me an adrenaline rush. I'm going to go into Lindsay E now. Put that towards the front of my lid. Huh, geez. But I thought that was awesome that she, stood up for herself. And, even though, I mean, she didn't want to get into a big scene with these girls, which sounded like the girl that brought the vodka. Yeah, I don't know. If Sydney had, ooh, that's pretty. If Sydney had, I don't know. Sydney just did not feel comfortable around that girl at all. She was just not. And, she's like, I know I should have said something. I said, Sydney, no, I don't think you should have. I said, I'm glad that you called me or text me and we did this. You made the right choice. I'm not, don't do that to yourself. We're in a situation where you were going to be way over your head and you did the right thing. So good job. Now, the crux of the issue then for me was, do I tell the parents of this girl that they're drinking? I just was like, oh, geez. Because, I didn't want my daughter to be a target of these two girls because, they were from pretty affluent families, and I don't know, it was a yucky, I just felt yucky about it. So I didn't say anything in that moment. I did not tell the parents. I didn't, you know, Sydney begged, please, Mom, do not put me in the situation where now I'm going to get retaliated against. And, you know, it's just so crappy. You could not pay me enough money to relive middle school or high school. No freaking way. And I went to the same high school that my kids went to, and I hated it. So they both liked high school just fine, but I was, no. And there's lots of reasons for that. But anyway, I know I said, but anyway, basically, and I'm going to go back into Elizabeth. Basically, you know, they just kept acting like that, these two girls, and they got caught eventually. And, honestly, neither one of the parents really cared. So I was like, well, it would have been pretty pointless for me to have said anything because they didn't care. You know, they didn't get in trouble for the stuff that they got caught doing. It was just like, oh, well, you know, they're teenage girls and so what? And I'm like, okay, well, it just takes one time of having a good old time, they think, and then it's all over. So anyway, I just, you know, Sydney did that often where she would just astound me with her choice making. You know, she would be around kids that were acting like, you know, I'm going to go back into Noreen a little bit, just acting like ding dongs, and she would just make a completely different choice and do her own thing. And I was just always like, that's my kid. That's my kid. That's my kid. I loved it. It was so great. And she's always been a pretty assertive kid too, like, you know, not aggressive, just assertive. If she didn't like something or she wasn't thrilled with the way something was going or the way she was being treated or whatever, she would, you know, she would say, don't like this. So now I'm going to go back into Jen, and then I think I'll be done here. But I really like this look. It's a beautiful, that's beautiful, beautiful. I mean, I've put these colors together before, I know, but I really like the way the shades are performing. I wasn't too sure at first, but no, I really like this look. It's really pretty. She is who I wish I could have been at that age. I mean, really, like I remember just thinking that often as she was growing up, like, man, I wish I had had her wherewithal, because, you know, she's just a really cool person, and she's just a really strong and really secure person. I mean, yeah, she struggled with things. Of course she has. But at the same time, man, she's just really inspirational to me. She's awesome. Okay, so I am going to go off camera, clean this up, do my other eye, the rest of my face. I will come back. So this, of course, is my finished look, and I just love how it turned out. Really enjoyed playing with the palette. Charlie, thank you so much for gifting me such a beautiful eyeshadow palette. Really like how this look came together. I'll show you the palette again before I wrap the video up, but let me show you just a few things I threw on my face for my finished look. On my lips, I used a lippy from Beauty Moon Cosmetics. I believe this is a gloss. It's very glossy feeling and looking, and it's just gorgeous. This might be one of my favorite lip products I've ever tried. And the brand owner sent me this one and two other shades in a recent, well, not a recent purchase, my last purchase from the brand, and just love it. Love these. These are so nice. And I do have a code with Beauty Moon Cosmetics. It's Erica15. It's affiliated. It'll save you 15% off your purchase. But this is such an extraordinary UK indie brand, and I just purchased their newly released palette, the Cosmos palette, I think it is. Cannot wait to get that. On my upper lids, I used the Revolution Beauty Renaissance Flick felt tip liner in black. Love this. And then for my mascara, I'm still using the Hemish brand that I got in some PR from Stylevana. Love it. So now let's talk about the eyeshadow palette, the Wander Beauty Trailblazer palette. Absolutely gorgeous. Loved the mattes. I did have kind of a tough time getting this one to blend out the way I wanted it to. Well, being able to blend it, it's not the eyeshadow's fault. My blending, I don't think was the top notch this morning. But really did like these two mattes. This matte was lovely too. And the shimmer shades that I used, absolutely gorgeous. I did pop a little bit of this shade here called Alex in my inner corners and also on a little bit under my brows. And then I used a combination of Noreen and Elizabeth on my lower lash lines, and just stunning. Really a beautiful kind of earthy, grungy look that I put together with this palette. But you've got some softer options in here. This is a very pretty, elegant, grungy color story. Love it. This is so fun. And I was pretty sure I was going to like the palette, you know, because I had a little bit of experience with my Wander Beauty singles, but love having this in my collection. Cannot wait to play with this again. Let me know if you have this palette in your collection and what you think of it. And thank you guys for coming and hanging out with me for episode 15 of Throwback Thursday. And by the time this video goes up, my daughter's birthday will be over, but I have to just say, happy birthday, Sydney. I love you so much, and I cannot believe you're 25. Thank you guys so much for taking time out of your lives to sit down and watch this video. If you're new here and you enjoyed what you saw, please consider subscribing, smash the like button, and of course, comment down below in the comment section. I love to chat with you guys there. If you've been here before, thank you so much for coming back. I cannot wait to see you guys again in my next video. But in the meantime, please take very good care of yourself. Be well, safe, happy, and I will see you soon. Bye.
Drop it.